everybody, welcome to A Dad, A Son, and a Game. He is...
The dad, Joel.
I am the son, Luke. And today we will be reviewing Super Dungeon Explorer.
Roll the theme music. Get to sing it. That's how it works.
I think I forgot my deodorant.
Okay. Intro. Okay, so yeah, Super Dungeon Explorer is what we're going to be taking a look at. It is from Cool or Not Mini. It was kickstarted a while ago. Cool game, and here's an overview of how you play it. We don't have nearly enough time to go into it very well, but hopefully you get a feel for it with this little 5-minute thing here. So this is Super Dungeon Explorer. Very cool miniatures. I painted these, and these are the first thing I've ever painted. And they were a good one to learn on, I think, because they just really, I mean, they're very detailed, but you can paint them in like a video game or like anime type style. So, not a ton of detail. Anyway, I'm not going to do a ton of detail on this because watch you play it. I've sent you there before to see more detail in a game. They did a review of this game, and they did a really nice job on it. Not a review. He doesn't do reviews. But at any rate, Watch It Play did a really good job. And I'm going to go ahead and link to that in the comments. They did a series with several episodes, and there's so many rules to this game, so many different situational things that can happen, that I couldn't possibly explain them all in 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you a real brief overview, and enough understanding that you can understand what Luke and I are talking about in our review. But it is a miniatures dungeon crawl type game, and the theme on it is 8-bit video games, 16-bit video games, that early era of video gaming. Not real early, but early for me, I guess. 1980s and early 90s. So what you get with the game is you get these miniatures that I've been showing you. You also, each miniature gets a card. So here we have the Ember Mage, and then we also have the Hearthsworn Fighter. So these two guys have unique abilities. They're all laid out on the card, what they can do. They have different hit points, they have different attacking conditions, they have different movement and action abilities. All that's laid out on their card. So I'm going to put their card down here. Another thing that comes on the board is you get a lot of these boards. And you can see there's two styles here. There's the traditional spooky dungeon with lava, and then you've got this funky fun crystals glowing type dungeon too. And the boards are two-sided, so you get really each kind of board in there. I'd probably make my camera go totally berserk, but at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and show you just both of these, and you can play a mix and match if you want to. But what happens is we'll start the game off by let me get back here for a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. You also get this board with you too, and for just the sake of being able to see what's going on the table, I'm not going to leave this board out there, but it has a spot for your loot and your treasure cards, and then adventure effects. There's also this track here that always goes up, and this gives a benefit to the bad guys. Then there's this loot track, which resets, and whenever you hit one of these loot spaces, you get a loot card, which introduces loot and treasure cards. So here are the loot cards. I'm going to stick those down here, and stick the treasure cards down here, just to simplify what we're seeing here on the screen today. So, moving on. You do have a start position, and I have my start marker laid out somewhere, and I just can't find it right now. So we're going to use this nickel. Oh, right here it is. My bad. You get to see the bloopers in my videos. So we're going to say this is the entrance to the dungeon right here. You count in 6 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 spots. Anywhere you want to go, any direction. 6 moves in. So I'm going to stick it here because I think that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right there is 6. Now the start spots, everyone has to be adjacent to it. And you don't have to be just totally orthogonal, you can be diagonal as well. So, I have 2 heroes, that's why I'm using 2 boards. You use the same number of boards as you do heroes. You could do, one person does 1 hero, one person does 2 heroes, 2 people doing 4, 2 people doing 2. But you do also need someone that's going to play the bad guy, and they call that console, which I think is kind of clever. Like the console is making the monsters show up. But each one of these starting boards is going to have a spawner in it. And my other spawner is my other couple spawners. They're really cool. They're cool looking, and hopefully I can find a picture of one to show you guys. But I don't have it right now because it's getting painted by my friend who does better painting than I can. So I'm going to say this nickel is my other spawner, and then here's the spawner that I have that's done. I get to pick where I want to put those at on the board. There also is treasure, so I get to put these treasure chests on the board wherever I want as the console player. I'm getting this prepped as the console player. We picked these boards in the setup phase where the console would pick one, then the heroes would pick one, back and forth. So what happens then is we look at the board here, how it's laid out, and I get to spawn some monsters. And the monsters are pretty cool in this game too. They are all these really cool little minis, and this guy's not so little, but here's one called Rex. He's a big guy, and then we have a lot of these little guys that just are different types that show up throughout the game based on what I want to spawn. So I'm going to go ahead and spawn. We'll get back to Rex in a second. He can't come out just yet, but I'm going to spawn. I'm going to spawn this iron scale, and he's going to come out right here, and he has to be also adjacent to the spawner. And I'm also going to put out a pair of knuckleheads over here, and I'm going to put out a knucklehead here, another knucklehead here, one of these little like gougers right here, and a flinger, and I can actually put out one more guy. I'll do another knucklehead just because I happen to grab him. They all have to be adjacent to the spawner, and all these guys again have cards that go along to show what their abilities are, as well as the spawners. So this knucklehead here, I'm going to go over just his card real quick. The knucklehead, he has 7 movement. That's what this little movement thing on the top shows. It's like a, if you look at the top right hand corner, it has like a control pad from an old controller. He gets 7 movement, and he has 1 action. Now, if you're going to look here, it shows his attack, armor, will, and dexterity ratings. You see different colors there, and those represent the die that you're going to use to roll when you do those different things. It's a pretty clever combat system. The armor there, though, on this card, on this knucklehead, is grayed out. That means he just automatically gets an insta-1 for his armor. So anytime they would roll better than a 1 when attacking him, he would get hit. And then he has special abilities as well, but we're not going to get into all that in this video. Again, go to Watch It Play. They do a great job with this. And I really do suggest that if you pick this game up, because this is a fun game. The miniatures are really great in it, but the directions are pretty rough. I mean, it takes quite a bit of understanding to get through the entire directions. And the video series just makes it a lot easier, and just makes you understand just how the game works better. And even then, you're probably going to make mistakes and have problems with getting this all figured out the first couple times you play anyway. So the first thing we do in a turn is we roll for initiative. So we roll our will, I believe, against each other. So we roll these die, and in the die roll, whoever gets more stars would get to go first. Now I'm going to go ahead and explain these die real quick too. These die, we have 3 colors of die in this game. We have a red die, a blue die, and a green die. And the die have different amounts of blank sides on them, star sides with 2, 1, and then hearts and potions. And the blue die is very weak. The red die is like medium strength, and the green die is really strong. So your attacks and things are based on rolling a number of these die equal to what your card says you can. So we're going to have the heroes go ahead and go first, and I'll show you just a couple moves here real quick. The fighter here gets to go 6 movement, so he's going to go 1, 2. You can move diagonally 3, 4, 5, and he's going to attack right here. And he has some pretty awesome like swiping abilities and stuff. But we're just going to show you a basic attack. So he'd roll 2 blue and 1 red, because that's what his card says. He rolls that. Oh, this is a lousy roll. He got 2 hearts and nothing else. So he did no stars. This guy wouldn't even have to roll, because ties go to defenders. But he gets more than 1 action. So he has 3 actions. So he can re-roll a basic attack again. Again, I'm having terrible rolls, no stars. And then this one he finally hit 3 stars. Now he has a possibility of hitting, there's a 3-sided star there, a 2, and a 2. So a really good roll, he'd roll a 7. But a bad roll, like you saw from me, you could roll a 0. Now he was attacking a knucklehead, we'll say. Well, the knucklehead gets to defend at a 1, a grayed out 1. So anytime that he rolled better than a 1, he would have hit. So the first 2 rolls he definitely wouldn't have hit. That 3 would have hit. And if you look on the card, it shows the number of hit points they have. And this guy only had 1 hit point, so he would go away. One of these knuckleheads would go away. And then it would be my turn to move hearts, 4 hearts worth of characters. That's something that needs explained as well. The hearts are on the card, and you get to spawn 4 hearts worth of characters at each spawner at the beginning of every round. But then also you can move 4 hearts worth of characters each round too. Until the final hero goes, then you just move all the characters that are remaining. And it's kind of tricky to keep track of all the movement, so what I've done is I've have them all facing, like, let's say north the first time, and then after I move them, I have them face, east, so that way I know who's moved and who hasn't moved. But on this instance, I'm going to say, this knucklehead's going to come up here and fight him, and he rolls just like 2 blue die because he's pretty weak. He rolls a 1, and then the hero gets to roll his armor, which is 2 red. He rolls a 5, so he doesn't hit the guy. I do some more moves and things like that. We'd play this out, we'd kill each other, basic dungeon crawl. Real fun theme, the Nintendo type, Zelda crawl through the dungeon type stuff. You get a lot of different heroes, you get a lot of different villains. But I'm going to show you a couple more things here too, that I'm going to go ahead and take the board down to show you how this works. So these boards are really nice, thick. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our loot deck and our characters here. We're going to get loot from time to time, and so we flip a loot card over, and the loot cards are really neat because this is the Rune of Defense. So it does +1 blue armor, and it has flavor text, "Stop hitting me." Well, we can see how this is green, and it matches up over on this side of this person. There's a green slot right here, matches up really cool. And then we flip over this. This is a blue. The blue is going to stack into the bottom here, or slide into the bottom. And then we get another blue. So here's the thing. These are actually identical things. A resurrection charm. Since she already has that, it would make no sense for her to have it. Well, you're allowed to share between your hero characters. So that's where our other guy can get one of these too. And we flip over some more loot later in the game after we kill some more monsters. There's a yellow slot here, which is going to increase their attack by 1 blue die. But also is going to add this little ability of Pacify, which is, all these abilities are laid out in the books. So these guys are getting geared up as they get more and more loot, get more and more powerful, and there's another blue one, and if we have 2 blues on already, we can use one of these loots that we get to cash it in and get a potion, which are useful for these guys. So you do all kinds of stuff, get geared up, get more abilities, and you also get treasure. There were treasure chests that we had laid on the board. If you go to a treasure chest, you get treasure. The top slot is reserved for treasure. The treasures are really powerful. They're much more powerful than the loot. They give you special attacks, add green dye to your stuff. I mean, they just make you really very powerful. So these guys would be totally geared up at this point, with all their slots filled up. And we've been playing the game for a while, and we would hit what they call the 8-bit part, or 16-bit. We start in 8-bit, go to 16-bit. And that's when Big Rex here would come out. And Rex is very powerful. They would have to beat him. I can only spawn out 1 16-bit character at a time. And then as we continue to move on through the game, depending on how long of a game we're playing, I would eventually get to the final boss. And the final boss just does all kinds of destruction, breathes waves of fire all over everyone. So, again, this isn't an attempt to try and explain how to play the game, but just kind of get an idea of what you do in the game. You go through a dungeon, you get gear, fight bad guys, roll a bunch of really cool looking die, and this whole game has just kind of got just cool, colorful flavor to it. Just a lot of really neat minis. They give you a lot of these little trackers that can track hit points and different conditions like being poisoned and things. The cards are decent. They aren't the heaviest cards in the world, but they're pretty good. It's certainly good enough for as little as they get handled. And that's about it as far as the gameplay goes, as far as what I'm going to go into here on details. But again, I can't endorse Rodney and his ability to explain games enough. He is a masterful person at that. I hope to be as good as him someday. He does just a wonderful job of taking this game and over the course of several hours, it seems, explaining the game and how it works. So if you think this is something that you want to look more into, I would go ahead and check out what he has to say. But now, let's see what Luke and I have to say about how this game plays with our family and how we like it.
I'm going to smash you with the Sword of Smite.
I will use my magic hairbrush.
It's my weakness.
Magic hairbrush, magic hairbrush, magic hairbrush. Oh, sorry. inner nerd gets out when we play this game. Alright, put our weapons away. Okay, Luke, so let's do our review. We usually do like 4 parts. I'm not sure that that's the right format to do, so we're going to try doing the 4 parts much briefer, but also talk about this. What do you like about this game?
I like that it's a video game type theme, and I like the art too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Cool. I'll tell you what I like about it here in a minute. What don't you like about it?
I don't like all the summoning monsters and stuff, and the like deaths.
The violent deaths of the monsters.
Well, plus
you just want to like make them all your Furbies. Come live with me, monsters. Anyway, all right.
They'll all be evil.
We got to get down to business. Our reviews are way too long already. So, the fun. No, not the fun. The art and theme. That's what we always do first. What do you think?
Art and theme, I'm going to have to give it a 9.5 because probably some of the best art I've seen. The miniatures are amazing.
Yes.
The one thing about the miniatures is that you have to glue them together, which is kind of a pain in the butt. I don't know, but I know from my dad because he spent like...
More on that later.
Yeah.
We have to change where this light's at. It's making crazy shadows. Anyway, or I can just not do this, right? Anyway, now for the fun. We're distracted, I'm sorry. The fun factor.
For the fun
Wait,
factor...
art and theme you give 9.5, so you really love it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Alright, the fun.
The fun I'm going to have to give an 8.5 because it's just... I like the feel of a 3D video game that's in real life.
Yeah, it's very fun that way. Okay, and the family factor.
Family factor, I'm going to have to give it 6 3/4 because just the whole monster and dying thing.
Yeah, so 6 3/4, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Ooh, an interesting quarter rating. You think it's a little too violent for some families?
Yeah.
Alright, that makes sense. Okay, for me, we'll get back to you on overall. If I forget you for overall, like get your magic blade out and remind me.
Say I'm going to smite you now.
Yes, smite my rating. Anyway, that's you can take that domain and use it to make millions of dollars off nerds. SmiteMyRating.com. Anyway, overall, what I like about this game is the component quality is really good. The cards are cheap, but you don't use them much. The minis are really great, but he nailed it. They're a pain in the butt to glue together. I bought this game the day after Thanksgiving, and I wanted to play it that night with my brother and Luke at a family get-together. Yeah, that didn't happen, because I opened the box at about 10. Around 1 or 2, I was done gluing the stuff together. And then the next day, we played with unpainted minis, and it was cool to play with unpainted minis. But I knew that I needed to paint the minis, and I knew that I didn't know how to paint them, so I just itched my face a ton.
They turned out pretty well. But
Yeah, I think so. Shout out to my friend Chris, who taught me how to paint. Hey, Chris, you know who you are. He's actually still painting a couple of my minis for me, because he wants to make them like...
the lava one?
Yeah, he wants to make them look amazing. So anyway, and they will. He's an amazing painter. Anyway, back on track. The art and theme, I'm going to give it a really high rating because it's a cool theme. The video game Dungeon Explorer thing is what I grew up on. Very, very cool. So I'm going to...
Didn't they actually have video games of Dungeon Exploring?
Yes. Haven't you heard of Zelda?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. His eyes lit up, right? So a very high art and theme rating of like 9. 8.5, 9. 9. My fun factor, this is where it suffers. The game's got a couple problems with it. This is what I don't like about the game. The game, it has 2 halves. One person plays as like an overlord or like as console. And I wish they would have done something different on that. Like, I wish they would have made it like so you could draw from a random deck and then like place the creatures. I don't know.
And then roll
Yeah,
where they move.
I wish they would have had like an event deck or something like that, so that someone doesn't have to play as console. Because I don't care to play console. Luke likes it. I don't. I just made a weird shadow.
Places.
Because what? Because of the weird shadows.
What? Oh, no.
Oh,
we switch
yeah.
in the game.
I thought he meant right now, but he means in the game, because he's thinking about the game. I'm thinking about the video. Yes, we probably should. He likes to play console, which is putting the bad guys out. I don't. I think it's tedious to remember to move all your guys and have them fight, and what does this guy do? What does this guy do? Playing as one hero, maybe two heroes, is epic and awesome. You are like, yes, put gear on me and make me better. So, at any rate, I like playing as a hero. As a hero, I give this game about a 7.5 for fun. Playing as console, it gets like a 4.5 maybe. It's not very fun, but you know people are having fun playing it. So, it's worth the chore of doing it, especially when you know that it's something somebody really likes. And I own the game, so I end up playing console most of the time because it's a little more complex than just being a hero. So, the fun factor, I'm going to give it an average of like 6. As far as the family factor goes, this is where this game is going to need a little disclaimer. It's not an unfamily-friendly game, but I know there are families out there who are, for like religious hang-ups or because they don't want their kids to see this stuff or whatever, are way like, no magic. We aren't that way. We think magic is cool because it's just pretend. It's fun. It's fantasy. But some people I know are like way like, I don't want to see summoning and I don't want to see powers or magic idols or something like that. And I don't think there's really any idols in this, and there's no like real demons in it. So I mean like,
just kind of trolls and dragons.
Yeah, and I mean like we're Christians. One of my Christian friends is really uptight about that stuff, and even he thinks this one's okay to play. But he wouldn't play something like Descent probably, or he doesn't play like Couriers because of the summoning and stuff. So there is some of that in this, but not a ton. But my friend who's really uptight about that stuff will play it himself, but I don't think he'll let his kid play it. So, as far as the family thing goes, if you're cool with magic and fantasy and pretend, and your kids can handle that, it's fine. It's very cool. As far as the Dungeon Explorer goes, it's the most family-friendly one probably, because it's like cartoonish fun. If you don't know about magic and you're the kind of person whose mom said don't play D&D because you'll end up killing your math teacher or something, I don't know. I never understood that. But if you're that family, I'm not making fun of you. You have your own beliefs. That's awesome. But this game's not for you. Probably not for you, at least. So, that's the family rating. Now, I will say this about this game. There are 3 other things I want to say about it that don't really fit into any one thing. One, the components on this are amazing. Like, the minis on it are the coolest component I own in my whole game collection. But they took me 3 hours to glue together, and then probably another 15 hours to paint up. So there's a lot of time in this game to get it ready to play and make it cool. 2, it's a pricey game.
Didn't you get it for like 80 or 50 bucks?
80 bucks, but that's about what it costs, 80 bucks. But you get a lot of stuff in it. There's also a lot of expansions. They can get a lot of money into them, too.
Like the Turtle Squad or whatever?
Yes, like the Turtle Squad, which, it's all video game themed stuff, but I don't think it's called the Turtle Squad. It's called something else. But it's like
Maybe
kind of
like Mario based.
It's sort of like Mario. So anyway, we're kind of getting off track here. But the third thing I would say is the rulebook on this is real like cool and colorful, and it has a good definitions, and it kind of tells you how most of the stuff works. But you're going to be referencing it a ton, and especially when you don't really know the rules yet. But also the other thing is, Watch It Played did a video of this, and they did a really great job of explaining things, playing through a few turns. Watch that. It'll help you a ton. That's how I really learned the game, to be able to play it. And now I reference the rule book, but I don't have to learn the game while I play it. So, props to Rodney, and I think Luke played with him on that one. I've got a Luke too. This is Yankee Luke, and he's from the States. The other Luke's Canadian. So that's how you can tell them apart. Because I don't know.
And different last names.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, that's my, like, I wouldn't say 2 bits because I kind of rambled there. It's because I saw this little insect, like, fluttering around. And I'm like, oh, man, is that going to end up on camera or not? I hope it didn't, but if it did, sorry. So that's it for this review. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you later. See ya.
You know,
anything else to say?
No.
Cool.
They should come out with, like, some expansions that, like, have Zelda and, like, all the monsters from Zelda. And
they wouldn't be able to call them Zelda. They'd be like, Melda, the princess who Melda's your heart. And Link could be called like Chain Link, Fence. Yeah, no, they should definitely do that. They have rangers
and then
stuff in it.
Mario
Would be like Blario.
yeah. And then like Luigi would be pasta.
Pasta.
And he has pasta powers.